Secondly, you said that you think this doesn't map onto all possible worlds. You think it's a knowledge claim independently of what the author can say or knows. This was stated by a inverse character. I believe that we can use what's stated by the characters as something that's going to be dependent on what the author knows. I think that's just how fiction works. I can argue it would lead to absurdities if it's the case that you believe that what the characters say or write or express are going to be dependent on what the author knows. Secondly, when you say it's a knowledge claim, I don't understand how it'd be a knowledge claim. It's something that's independent of the knowledge to claim that something, no matter what they write. Again, they could just be writing anything they want. They have thousands of authors. They have many different instances. They can write down things like hundreds of years to where they can write down things, and they're just saying that they don't nothing of what they can write. So it's meant to be explaining independently of just what they know at that time. They're meant to say that yes, they can't write anything that would do this thing, which is more expect to say that this is an essential property. So even if it's the case that you believe they don't know what could be applied to the character, it makes more sense to believe that the reason why they're saying this is because they believe it's an essential property, which is independent of saying what could be applied to it, because you just understand that if something's an essential property, then all possible this thing would be the case. Same way that you could say, without the sort of knowledge of what will be applied to a square, that no matter what possible world you're in, the square is going to have four sides, because in order to correctly encapsulate what a square is, or to invoke a square inside of a possible world, it would have to have four sides. Then you said your character is divinely simple. What's the logical contradiction? First, I'm going to ask, why do you think your character is divinely simple when you prove that? And secondly, what's the logical contradiction between saying that your character is divinely simple, my character beating yours? I can just defeat your character holistically. Also, it's the case that do you believe that your character being divinely simple is an essential attribute? Because it could just be the case that I can imagine your character without that thing if it's not an essential property and it's just an accident.
Wait,
hold on. You can give that argument after if you believe that you can prove that. I'm gonna put that into question. But yeah, if it's the case that it's just an essential property for that character to be divinely simple, then we can still think of your character that being divinely simple. My character just win, and that's just assuming that your character cannot win if it's divinely simple, which I don't grant.
Okay.
You done? So I don't think like the second point and the third point are relevant, so I won't really respond to that. But like the first point about it being an essential property, then I don't think like you understand like what do you mean when you say an essential property? Do you mean like a character like it's just gonna be a necessary trait that your character's just gonna win? Are you saying like this is like an essential property insofar as like it's part of the ontology of your character? Because if you're gonna say it's part of the ontology of your character, then it's not a property to say your character's gonna win. It's gonna be something that's extrinsic. It's gonna something that's gonna be something that's related to like your character's properties, in relation to like your character's ontology. So it's not. I don't think it's apt to say like it's an essential property to begin with. I think you can just say like maybe it's inconceivable, but saying like it's an essential property like sounds retarded to me. But like regarding like the point of divine simplicity, then yeah, obviously I'm gonna justify that a little bit later. But yeah, you cannot really parse the distinction between it being an essential attribute because you cannot parse the distinction between it being an essential attribute and it being like an accidental attribute, because that's not how divine simplicity works. There is no distinction between accidents and maybe an essence. It's just like an essence simpliciter. So
Okay, is that it?
the reason why I wouldn't respond to the second and third point is because like I think it's just circular. I already responded to that, so I don't really care about that.
Okay, if you believe it's circular, I don't believe that. Yeah. So when you ask, what do you mean by like an essential property? Like, are you asking when you ask that it's a part of the ontology? I think this is relevant. A property is just something that's true of something. So it is true that my character will win. And by essential property, I just mean it's the case that this is something that is a necessary condition to be on my character. So in order to have my character, it would have to be necessary that he wins. That's all that I mean to say when it's essential property. So it's something that's true of my character is to say he will always win, which is also again elaborated on and expanded on and given credence towards, because they literally say it's an error, which would say my character won.
But that does not respond to that. Okay, you done?
No, wait, did I respond to the? Oh yeah. So when you said that
I was gonna say.
Hold on, I was just gonna respond to the divine simplicity thing. So when you say you're gonna prove it later, that's when you prove it now, real quick. And then when you say that like essences are things that aren't accidents, I want you to prove that. I want you to firstly prove that a divine simplicity is an essence, and that if you were to prove that the type of essence we're talking about is going to be in reference to something that of essential properties. What is essence?
Okay, Tassi, do you have any questions for him? Because I'm about to mute him, so you can give your entire thing.
Yeah, like I'm just like confused as to how like the first point like really responds to what I said, because I was asking like I was asking how would it be like an essential property? Like it just sounds like you're just saying your character just wins no matter what. But like if you're gonna say it's an essential property, then it's gonna be something that's related to your character's ontology. But you can't even have a conversation about your character's ontology. You're just skipping a conversation of your character's ontology. Say your character has this essential property. But obviously saying your character wins all the time is not a property that you can like ascribe to like any like being like metaphysically unless you can like justify like it how it applies like extrinsically, right? But other than that, like just saying your character wins like at all times, it just sounds like an extrinsic property, not an intrinsic property, and it's only something that actually considered something closer to like a second order property. So I'm asking like how are you gonna like say your character is an essential has this essential property when it's not even something related to like your character's ontology? It's just like a truth. It's like something that you're making is like something that has like truth value or something. I don't know. Like you're just like making like this. You're just saying like your character has like this essential property insofar as your character is just gonna always win as something. It's a proposition that's just gonna hold truth value in all conceivable possible worlds. At least when we're talking about like cross-verse settings. So I'm still not sure how it relates to your character's ontology. But are you saying that we don't have to discuss your character's ontology? It's just is that just what you're saying or something like that?
Yeah, when you say ontology, just like referring to
Like
my character's
is
state
it
of being.
Yeah, is it like I do you think that you don't need to have a conversation about your character's ontology, or are you just like saying
Uh,
like it's like literally an essential property like in a mereological sense?
when you say mirrorological sense, what does that mean to say?
Like it's like I don't know, like part of like your the relationship between your
The fuck?
character's ontology insofar as like it's maybe a part or the whole of your character, but yeah.
I guess it'd just be like the way it would be true. My character be like I told this analogy like multiple times. It would be true in the same way, in the same sense that like a square has four sides. Like I don't see distinction there. So when you say like we speaking of my character's ontology, like what do you mean by that? Is just the essence of the state of being my character's in. Like I'm kind of confused when you say that. You don't really expand on that. But yeah, I already told you that like when we're speaking of properties, it just means to speak on what is true of something. That's all that means to say. So when I say that, yo, I'm getting fucking like harassed in the fucking chat, bro. Holy shit, bro. Let me change the VC scans. So when I say something is a property, that just means to say something is true of something. So when I say that this is an essential property to my character, it just means that this is something that's true of my character in all possible worlds. I think that how it applies externally is independent of how it would, sorry, of how it would work intrinsically within my character. When I mean intrinsically, it means that I'm saying something that's true of my character, internal and not regarding external things. So it'd just be the case that because my character always wins, it would be the case that if applied to any sort of scenario, it would be true that he wins, independently of what allows this, because we understand that it is an essential property. And I gave credence to this by showing that the author said that no matter what scenario they're in, they win. And I also explained, I don't think you even tracked this, is that independent of the author's knowledge is what these characters are saying. So if the author doesn't know something, the character can still say something, and it'll be true regardless of the author's knowledge regarding what they wrote down to that thing.
Yeah, I've heard that argument for the first time, so I don't think I'm gonna respond to it again. But yeah, like
You said you
so
heard it
I
for the
can just
first
like give a
time?
new contention, but like I think yeah,
Hold on,
no,
hold on. What did you just
I
say? You
was
said
saying
you
like I've
heard it for
already
the
heard
first
this
time?
argument. So I'm not gonna respond. No, I said I already heard
You
this
you
argument, so I'm
like
not gonna
your voice
respond
like
again.
mumbled out.
But like
Okay, he meant to say that he already heard it. He's not gonna
yeah, I'm
respond to
saying
it. But
I heard yeah I heard your argument already, so I'm not gonna respond to that again. So I'm gonna give a new contention, but I think I already responded to everything at the moment. But like so yeah, given that your character has parts and such, like how are you gonna justify like your character winning against my character, supposing that my character, for example, is developing how like true contradictions can occur in fiction?
Yeah, I already asked you for the contradiction of. Firstly, I asked you to prove that your character is divinely simple. Secondly, I asked why is it the case that
Yeah, I'm
when you
gonna do
speak
that,
in
but I'm
terms of
saying like
essence, it's something
supposing that
to
my
hold on.
character no
wait,
Oh my
I'll
god.
see what
yeah,
you.
sure, it's fine. You can
Oh my god.
talk.
Yeah, I
It's
literally
fine, you can
asked you
talk.
for the logical contradiction. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you said I can be talking when I'm talking. I understand that's why I'm speaking. So when you say that, yo, yo, I was about to say mute X Storm, bro. Yeah. So when you say that, what's it called? But yeah, how's my character going to be defeating your character that's divinely simple? I asked you, what's the logical contradiction between your character being divinely simple and it losing? If it's the case, your character is divinely simple.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. I gotta mute this random dude in the background. Hold on. Where's this nigga at, bro? By the way, Toxic, you're unmuted.
Oh, like,
Did I
is he
cut
done
out?
then? Like,
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
are you done, Hermes, bro?
Yeah, he went on mute, so I'm assuming.
Yeah, just ask you what the logical contradiction is. That's what I asked you because you said that it seems to be
Yeah,
logically
I
contradictory. So
was
I asked you
gonna
what it
say
is.
that my argument was my argument at hand was not that my character has divine simplicity. I was saying, supposing that my character has divine simplicity, how are you gonna argue that your character beats my character if my character has no pause to be attacked to begin with? And like the reason why I said supposing is because, like, since you're claiming that your character is gonna win in under every condition, then obviously, like, your position is gonna be inclusive of your character beating my character, regardless of whether or not my character has divine simplicity. So it's just like it's like a hypothetical, right? Given that your position assumes that your character is gonna win against a character with like divine simplicity in fiction, so I'm just asking how you're gonna cash that out if there are no parts for your character to like beat or destroy to begin with. So
Yeah, so when you say no parts, I think that's distinct from saying that. Well, when you say parts, I think that if you're saying only in reference to aspects, again, I'm asking what's the logical contradiction between my characters defeating your character holistically. So, in the sense that if something is indivisible, it can just be the case that my character subtracts it completely. Like, I don't understand the logical contradiction there. You're just saying that
there's
how's
nothing
my
to
character going to do
subtract.
this? So I'm
Like, that's
asking
the
you,
point.
yeah, what's the argument for that?
Was the argument
You're
for
just saying
like
that there's no
divine
part.
simplicity, like not
It,
not be yeah, like yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, I can like give a justification for that with like scans, I guess. I think this is just like weird though. But like yeah, like the divine simplicity just means that the character, not even the character, just like God, for example, right, will not be exhausted by what God creates. So obviously there's nothing to subtract, even if God produces everything else. So I'm not really sure like how you're gonna subtract anything if like the implication of divine simplicity is that nothing can be subtracted. So
wait, did you say that there's no relation between what God can create and Himself? Is that what you said?
no,
Also,
I
make
said
clear on
God
the
does
wording
not
they
get
used.
exhausted by the production of all things,
Oh yeah,
because
exhausted.
when
Yeah.
you say God produces all things, He's not producing by action. Just talk about the chain of being instead of like God like giving something like in terms of action to another thing. So
Yeah, so I want you to explain what you mean by it's going to be doing it by something that's causal without some sort of action. And why is it the case that just because it's not exhaustive or it creates relative to itself, why is that an argument as to say that it has no parts? And secondly, that because if it's the case that it has no parts, that those things for some reason can't be defeated. I don't see the argument
um,
there. And also just the case that I
I
think
mean,
what
it's
you explained
analytically
for the
true that
divine
divine
simplicity.
simplicity
Hold on,
causes
hold on.
all parts.
Yeah, what's the argument that's analytically true? What the fuck?
What? You want me to like do what? Like
What's the
send a fucking PDF of like Aquinas saying like divine simplicity has no parts? Like, well, what do you
wait?
think would count as a justification of
Someone saying that it says it.
being?
Someone saying that it says it. I don't. I want you. So hold on, just to be clear. Even if it's the case that someone said that about divine simplicity, I want you to like give an argument as to why that would map over to your sort of character's divine simplicity.
There's no
And
other divine
secondly, again,
simplicity.
I'm asking when you say no parts, if that just mean hold on, you said there's no other divine simplicity. Please prove that. I think all sort of semantics being used is going to be relative to the individual making those terms. So when you say that there's no other sort of term someone can use divine simplicity, like just make a statement right now. This is divine simplicity that means poo poo butt
I
shit.
mean,
So I
why
don't
would
see the
I
argument for
have
that.
to prove that when you're the one who's shifting the burden? Because you're presupposing that
Sorry,
there's
how's that
such
shit
a
the better?
type of divine simplicity that's better than another divine simplicity.
Yeah.
Like, you're
So when
just
you say
shifting
that
the
I'm
burden.
shifting the
So I
burden,
don't
it's
know
just
how you
I
expect
don't
me
see
to
the
prove
argument.
that
That's why I'm
that's not
shifting
the
the burden. You're
case
the
when
one
you're
that wait.
presupposing that the case.
All right, bro.
Yeah, I don't know why you said that. I'm shifting the burden when you're the one that made the claim that there is no other type. So I'm asking for the clarification or sort of
I
elaboration or
was
evidence to
responding to
believe
you.
that there is no type of simplicity. Sorry, say again?
Yeah, I was responding to you saying there's a type, or implicitly that there's a type. So obviously you're gonna have to justify that.
Yeah. So my justification I already
I don't
gave
believe I
was,
have to justify that
oh
because
my,
it's a negative claim to begin with. So
Oh my
so
god.
you're obligated to
holy
justify
fuck.
that claim. And I
Secondly, it's just the case that what do you mean by because it's a negative claim you don't have to justify that? Please give the argument for that. What the fuck does a negative claim even
That's
mean?
not what I
You're
said.
affirming you're
That's not what I said.
okay. Well, what did you say then, real quick?
So I think like this
You
is
don't
just a
understand.
type of epistemic defensibility. It's not me making a claim that needs justification. I'm just saying you cannot make that claim because you did not justify it to begin with. So I'm just
It's a type
undercutting
of
your
what? Epistemic
justification. It's
what?
just
You're like unironically your mic
epistemic,
muffled out of it when you said
The feasibility, bro.
what? The feasibility. Okay. Yeah.
epistemic
What does that even
defeasibility.
mean to say? What does it even mean to say when you say epistemic feasibility?
I don't believe you're justified in saying your character. Oh, sorry. I don't believe you're justified in saying that there's a type of like this divine simplicity that's like distinct from another type. That's just what I mean when I say like you know, it's gonna be like a type of like epistemic defeasibility to just deny that statement. So
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So when you said that you don't think I'm justified, I don't understand why you believing that you're just going to somehow map into the conversation or some sort of justification towards the case that there is. I have no justification to say that it is the case. Secondly, you said it's a negative claim. When you say negative claim, firstly, what does it even mean? Secondly, it is the case even if you're affirming the non-existence of something. Yes, it's going to need some sort of justification to say that something does not exist. That's insane to say. And thirdly,
wait,
yes, I
can you
already gave
repeat
my
the first
argument as to
part?
why I believe that some terms. Yeah. So the first claim was the first point is you said that your epistemic defeasibility makes you believe that there's no sort of justification I can make to make this claim. I'm asking why is it the case that you believe in these things going to somehow map over to this conversation and give justification that I cannot give any justification towards this claim. And then I also asked you, I also gave the argument, like this is the third point I was going to make before you cut me off, was that yes, terms are going to be relative to the individual making those terms, or the definition ascribed to that term. So when you say that this term has no other meaning, I want you to prove that no other person, when they make this term, or sorry, express this term, can ascribe no other meaning towards it.
Not. I was not saying that you cannot be justified in doing that. I was saying currently you're not justified in doing that. That's literally just it. So I don't know like why you went on like a 3-minute rant to explain something that's really unrelated to my argument. So
You didn't believe the thing I just said was related to your claim?
I mean, like, can you explain how it's like relevant? Then maybe I missed something.
Which point? Which point? I made like three.
Yeah, like the point where I said like I don't believe you're justified currently in saying that there's a type of divine simplicity that's distinct from another type, because that's what you're implying.
Yeah, because I'm just saying that when you say you don't think I'm justified currently, I'm saying why does you thinking that I'm not justified currently map into the conversation? Because I
The
gave some
reason
sort of
why I think
justification, I
that is
gave some
because you did not
credence. I believe that
justify
is the
anything
case.
within the
Whether it's
conversation. That's why.
yeah, again, you just saying that you believe that it isn't the case that I justified anything's conversation doesn't somehow prove that. That's what's in question is whether or not you thinking
What?
that is
You
going to
want me
somehow
to
relevant to
prove
this
you not
conversation.
justify anything? Bro.
What? That's not my claim. That's not the claim I'm
You
making.
want
That's
me
not
to
the claim I'm
prove
making.
that like
That's
you're
not the
not
claim I'm making.
justified? Like you're not justify like there being a
That's not the claim
distinct
I'm
type of
making.
like divine simplicity. Okay, what are
That's
you
not the claim
saying?
I'm
Maybe
making.
I'm like missing something
I'm
then.
no, no, yeah. All I'm saying is that you saying that you believe that I'm not justified is not going to map everything up to the conversation. So you're saying that it's completely
But
irrelevant.
that's
My
how
argument as
epistemic
to why I believe that it is.
defeasibility works.
So how does that work like that? How do you believe that it is the case because you believe
Like
that I have given no sort of justification that someone's going to map it to the conversation?
no, like in this case, when you say like when I say like I'm undercutting like your evidence, it's just because like you not provide sufficient evidence for your position to begin with. You just made a claim in a vacuum.
Yeah, I think that's what you believe, but I'm saying that just because it's the case that you have that sort of
What?
that sort of claim that I have. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm saying that just because it's the case that you believe that I gave no sort of justification towards my claim, I'm asking why would that map over to the conversation? I said I gave independent resources as to why I should believe that it is the case. There could be other meanings ascribed towards this term. Also, again, you didn't even explain the negative point. You said it's a negative point to say that when you said that you can't give any sort of other definitions towards this thing. I asked. I'm not even gonna repeat my point, bro. If you're not gonna respond to it, I don't give a fuck.
Like the
Like,
negative
do you want me to
point
like
is just
repeat anything I
related to
said?
like
Like,
me being a type of epistemic defeasibility. But like
okay,
I don't know like what you actually asking me to do. Are you asking me to like justify you not justifying or you not having justified like there being distinctive
no.
types of divine simplicity? Are you so what are you asking me to
No,
do?
no. No. For the first point, all that means to say is that you're just expressing your opinion, right? So I'm not saying it's meant to be a point that's going to let
So what
credence
do you
to
want me
your
to
claim.
what do you want me to do? Like
I,
I don't
I
think
want
it's an
you to
opinion. Like
respond to.
did
I want you to respond to the justification that I just gave.
That's
Hermes,
crazy.
If you
Hermes,
believe it's
like
the
okay,
case, my
this is a simple
justification,
question. Hermes,
like
did
what
you
the
justify
fuck?
like there being distinctive types types of divine simplicity? It's just a simple yes or no question then.
When you say types of the simplicity, that implies there's some sort of criteria I should be holding to, and there'll be different types of that criteria. So I'm really asking for
What?
that type of criteria, and why it's the case that when someone says this term, they're expressing this sort of criteria and this sort
What
of
do you
meaning
mean?
that's
What
going to be ascribed
criteria? Like,
towards it.
what do you mean you're asking? What do you mean like? What do you mean like you're asking for a criteria? What does that mean? I was just asking like, if you like if you believe that you've justified like there being distinctive types of divine simplicity.
That's yeah. So when you say yeah, again, like when I say criteria, I mean there's some sort of features in which this term has to relate to, right? So like given the case that we give a definition towards, I don't know, like pools, we understand there's certain mechanics or traits towards a pool, and there's going to be different types of pools. So different sort of properties independent of what makes up a pool that can still change what type of pool this is. So I'm asking for the initial traits for divine simplicity. Or you said so far as that someone said this thing once that it has no parts. I'm asking why is it the case that just because this one person ascribed this sort of
That the
meaning towards the
person,
term some divine simplicity, while map over to every single use of the words that are going to conjoin together to make the
yeah,
term
sure.
divine simplicity.
The reason why it's relevant in this case for that someone to be the one who's being like referenced here as a justification as to why there's the definition of it is because that someone is the person who postulated divine simplicity to begin with, which has not changed definitions so far, at least as far as I know throughout history. So if you know anything different, you can just like cash out like this difference of divine simplicity that you have, like that's distinctive from the account that I gave. This is really like a simple thing. Like I'm like, what's
Yeah,
Make
this is
this
stupid
shit
as
be
fuck.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and this shit, this shit
this is
ass.
stupid as fuck. Hold on, this is stupid as fuck. So just because someone made a claim, made a term, and they ascribed some sort of definition towards that term, does not mean that every single time someone makes his term or states his term or
I
expresses
was
term,
not saying that's the
they're
case every
ascribing the
single
sort.
time.
Okay, I never said that. I'm saying that okay, independent of every single
You
time
literally just
that
said
it would
that. What
let
do you mean?
credence. Holy fucking shit! I was gonna express more. Yeah, I was gonna express more beyond that dumb fuck. So like, let me actually finish my point before you cut me off, bro. So as I was gonna say though, I was gonna say that somehow, just because it's the case that someone when they express this term, that they ascribe this sort of definition towards this term, that it is gonna be likely to be the case that when someone else expresses this term, it's gonna be also ascribing that sort of definition towards it. So even you just what we did was appeal to again the fact that you have never seen some sort of change in this term that's independent to what I'm trying to claim. I'm trying to claim that yes, it is a case that people can use this with some sort of other definition. Also, just because that you don't think that, or sorry, you haven't seen some sort of change in this term, doesn't imply that there isn't sort of change in this term. Could just be the case that it's something you don't know. That's retarded as
Yeah, I
fuck.
agree. That's why I asked you to like. Yeah, I agree. That's why I asked to like give a distinctive account, like that you've seen like throughout history. So
Yeah, and I said that an account of what something is, what a term is going to be relative to the individual making that term.
what?
Unless the,
Holding
Okay,
on,
so do
here,
you believe
unless
that's
they,
holding on.
yeah, you can go on. Go on.
there's like nothing else I really have to expand. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. In terms of that.
Oh, okay, sure. So I'm just gonna justify my character having divine simplicity. I'm just gonna dip.
Man, bro. Good debate.
Hey.
Which shitty ass mic is that?
Why
There's
is this
levels to
nigga
this debate
asking what
shit, man.
evidence do I need? Like he has
There's
to answer
levels,
something.
bro. There's levels.
Well, I'm out dick riding
Damn.
Kakari. How am I dick riding? That's cool.
Bro.
Hey man. So any inverse
All right,
debaters
bro.
want to debate? I think Maki's booty beast over verse. Let's debate.
Where are the Shiki scans, bro?
Inverse debaters are so ass, bro. I'm tired of this shit, bro.
These scans. I'm about to send something. Wait, hold on. Let me just. Amazing debate, bro.
This shit is boring, bro. I ain't gonna lie. There's no rhetoric, no jargon spam, no loud mic. Like, holy fuck.
This nigga trying to say it's simple. Give a fuck.
Hey bro. Yeah.
And we got this shitty ass nigga Haram still typing the chat.
Nigga, a bag of dicks. Nigga,
Darn
fucking
victim.
sad.
Darn victim.
Yo,
Bro, you would lose to
Hermes,
Do I
are you
genuinely
there,
have to put
Hermes?
some shit on my bio to get picked
Yeah,
again?
I'm here. Hold on. Wait for the guys. I'm here.
Yeah, so like the first scan just essentially talks about how the soul of the root is like something that cannot be called an archive, or it cannot be like
Cannot be
described any
called an
property
archive.
univocally. It's just something that's simplicity.
It can.
And the second
Hold
scan
on.
talks
Say
about how
no,
like
no,
things are
no. Hold on,
capable.
hold on. You mumbled on the first part. You mumbled on the
Relax,
first part.
yes,
Like ironically.
yes, bro. I can repeat what I said. Relax, damn. I was saying the first part is just saying like how it cannot be called an archive, like as in it cannot be predicated anything univocally. It's just analogically, but overall it's just something that just exists simplicity and nothing more. And the second part just elaborates on that, saying that things cannot return back to it because it's too complex. And like no, not it, like but the characters themselves are too complex to return back to the original source. So the condition to return
So
back
what?
to the original source is just not having complexity.
So what does it mean to say that no sort of property can be applied towards it universally? Something along those
I
lines.
say univocally.
Yeah, univocally.
Yeah, the property the
Yeah.
properties would
What
not
does that
be
mean to
applied
say?
in the same way as they would be in finite creatures. So that's just what it means.
So wait. You unironically your mic like fuzz it out a bit there. You said it can't be applied like what other things? You said
Like
something.
the properties that whatever properties that it would have, like it cannot be applied in the same way as it would for finite creatures.
Okay. So what does that mean?
And whatever likeness creatures have just means that they have like some sort of asymmetrical identity relation to it, not a symmetrical identity relation to it in any sense.
Okay, what does that mean to say when you say, because all you said so far is that it doesn't apply in the same way that finite beings do? What does that mean to say? If it's the case that it applies to some sort of infinite being, I think that infinite sets aren't going to be anything expressive towards something that can't be, I
No,
guess, like
what
holistically
what I mean
negated,
by
like I was
that
saying
just
before.
means that since it is yeah, what I mean by that is just since it is just unity and like finite creatures are complex and have parts, it's just gonna the properties that it has is just not gonna apply in the same way that it does for this unity in question, since it has no fragmentation.
So all you're trying to say is that when the way that these properties apply to your character is going to be only applied in a sense that has no parts.
Yeah, in a sense that it's
But
unified.
let me read the scans. Let me read the scans. All events have a foundational cause and absolute first. The point where the universe began, yet also the point where it will end. At this point, there is an archive of all things, as it's less of an archive and more something which just exists. You can't really call it information. It just is. It has no will of its own, and a possible derivative either. It simply lets causes flow out of it itself, almost like it's the fount of origination. So firstly, I
The
just want to say
intentions
something real
then.
quick about your character. When it says that it has no sort of intention, how's it going to be? How's it going to be the case that your character is going to try to defeat mine and has no sort of intention behind it?
I mean, like my character is just gonna. I was just like gonna argue my character just how it's scaling. That's literally what I do in every debate. So,
This is meant to
but
be a
like my
verse debate.
character
What the fuck?
specifically is like an avatar of it, so they can have like a certain degree of intentionality. But
So
yeah,
that just contradicts the scan you said.
it doesn't contradict anything. It's just
Because
like
the scan says it like
hypostatic union.
has hypostatic union. Define that.
Yeah, it just means that my character is like unified with it in essence, even when they are an avatar. So, like
So
the
even the avatar
accidents
is going to
only
be
apply
unified.
to the
Hold
body if
on.
it comes to be. Yeah, the accidents, whatever accidents are, apply only to the character when it comes to
Oh
being an
God,
avatar, or
careless.
insofar as having like into the body, not
Yo, you got
insofar
cut
as
off
like it
and then you
applies
muffled
to
out
like a
unironically,
unified
bro. Like,
body.
just repeat that part again.
Yeah, I was saying like the accidents in question, like for example intentionality in this case, is just gonna apply to
Uh
my
huh.
character as it becomes an avatar, not my character as is in essence, the soul of the root. So
Okay, so firstly, this is a
that's
verse
why I
battle
said it's
debate. So
hypostatic
just
union.
saying. Okay, hold on. Firstly, this is a verse battle debate. So when you say that you're just going to be outscaling, I don't understand how it's going to correlate to winning unless you give some sort of explanation, independently of explaining the way that is going to explain how your character can have sort of intention to defeat my character. You also said that the accidents of your character is something that can have intention. So if that's just the case, then all sort of scaling you're trying to apply to your character, say that it has all these features that you think are going to be in a way that my character can't defeat your character, then it would just be the case that those avatars that can have intentionality to try to defeat my character will lack that property that you believe my character can't defeat.
I mean, I don't believe like it would lack those properties because my character would just like outscale, which is just how my position works to begin with. But regarding the intentionality stuff, just gonna apply like with respect to the avatar only. So I'm just like broadening my scale here. I'm not like defeating anything.
Yeah, again, so I'm asking. So when you just say that your position is that it outscales, it's not what the position was at the beginning of this debate, because the debate was meant to be a verse battle. So I understand when he's saying you're just trying to outscale, that's irrelevant to what I was saying previously. But yes, again, if you're gonna say
Ooh,
that the
shut your
character,
bitch
sorry, if
ass
you're
up,
gonna
nigga. This comes from my folder.
the fuck, if you're gonna say that
Whatever.
avatars are gonna be the accidents, then it's gonna be again what I just explained before. It's not gonna have the sort of attributes that your main the main character or the true form has, right? So the things that can actually have intentionality to try to defeat my character, which again I said this, I don't know why you said that your stance just is trying to outscale, which again I explained isn't going to map over to what we need, which is a verse battle debate. So when you say that you're just trying to outscale, that's not going to map over to him winning. So if the only thing
I
that
mean,
can have
like,
some sort of intentionality to try to defeat my character is going to be lacking this property, which you believe makes my character not be able to defeat your character, then it'll just be the case that the things that can attack my character just end up immediately losing. Given the case that your thing is true, which
I
again I
mean,
haven't granted yet.
this is really simple. I don't think this is controversial. Your position is that your character wins all the time, and in this case, your character cannot win because my character is divinely simple, and my position is just my character outscales, and that condition goes through. It's just that simple.
Yeah, no, I just explained why outscaling is going to be independent of your character winning. So, or even if it was the case, I believe what you said is true,
That's not
then
okay.
all that
Yeah,
would be derived.
we can agree
Hold
on
on,
that. That's fine.
hold on. Let me just finish. So I disagree. That I also want to argue against the scans you said as well. I still want to argue against that. So, secondly, for the whole like what's it called? Holy fuck! Repeat what you said before, but you cut me off. I fucking lost my train of thought.
Yeah, like I was saying that your position is just that your character is gonna win, and the justification for that is just that your character always wins. But in this case, that condition is not gonna go through because my character is divine simplicity. And like regarding like the second point, it would just be like since my position is just that my character outscales that condition is gonna go through. So in this case, your condition is not gonna go through. My condition is just gonna go through. That's how I win. It's just that that's as easy as that.
Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say, explain real quick. Yeah, just because it's the lack of my ability, holy fuck. Just because it's the lack of my character being able to defeat your true form character does not imply that my character will lose. It just be the case that if given the case that we've argued so far is true, which I'm not granting, then yes, it would be the case that my character wouldn't be able to lose. It would just be the case that my character couldn't be able to beat your character.
Hermes, your
So even in
position
this
is
case,
that your character wins, not your character cannot lose. So I don't know like why you talk about your character not having the ability to lose.
you
Just because your character does not win does
know what
not
I'm
mean
saying.
that your character has to lose. All you just said is just that your character is gonna win, and the reason why your character is gonna win is because your character always wins in like versus battles. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah, this is independent of what I'm saying. I'm just saying that. Holy fuck. Wait, say that again. Wait, make sure. Let me make sure
Like
you're not
you,
making a different type of argument. Like, ironically, I want to make sure you're not making a different type. I don't want to give you the type of argument I think you might be making. Say it again, real quick.
what
Are you just saying that
what
it's
okay.
that my position? Hold on, no. Hold on. I'll repeat this and confirm or deny. Is it just the case you're arguing that my position is that my character is going to win, and then you're arguing against my character winning?
Your position is that your
Is
character
that
is gonna win, and that condition is not gonna go through because your character is not gonna win. But it doesn't have to be the case that your character is gonna lose. And regarding my position
okay?
is just
Okay,
my
yeah.
character is gonna outscale, and that condition is just gonna go through.
Yeah, no. So I argue that definitely. So it's just the case that my position was going to be derived from the topic at hand, right? So the topic at hand is a
Alright,
versus
bro.
between these two characters, and the versus implies some sort of competition and who's going to win, right? So it's just the case that even if my character doesn't win, that's not going to be excluding from my position that I have, because I never give the position that TDK has to win here, or sorry, that I have to win in order to be a win con to win this debate. It would just be the case that if your ability went true, so came through, and all the things that compose it are true that you're saying, then it would just be the case that neither of us would win, because my character, firstly, would not win, but it wouldn't lose, which would be the lose condition in the debate is your character losing, and then it would be the case that what you said
The only
outscaling.
condition
Hold on. Your character outscaling doesn't map over to the type of topic we had, which is a versus debate. So if it's just the case that you have some sort of scaling that doesn't allow your character to verse my character, then it would be nothing. It wouldn't map over to some sort of win condition. It
this
would
is
just be the
just
case
a
that
cause
neither
for
of
us
us could
debate.
win.
I don't know like why you applying that condition like hyper literally, but okay. But like
What do
besides
you mean by
that,
hyper literally?
yeah,
I'm just
like
taking it like the
yes,
term as
yeah,
to
it's a
how it is.
cause
I don't
for us
understand why I
debate. It
wouldn't take
doesn't
a
have
term based on its definition.
yeah, but you're the one who was arguing that terms can have like distinctive usages. But when I talk about like crosswords debates, I just talk about outscaling. You can just look at all of my recordings, even including my debate against Jester. So I don't know
Yeah,
like
it's
what
fine if you.
actually is like. controversial
Yeah, yeah,
about that. But besides that,
yeah.
the only condition that you gave for your character, like winning in this case, was just that your character wins in all cases. But obviously, it seems that you're gonna like be giving up on that um position that your character wins in under every condition because you're not even trying to argue against that anymore. But like even beyond
That's
that, like my character having an avatar, the avatar in question is also omnipotent and can do everything. So unless you have like some sort of like I don't know, like your character has some sort of defense against like divine simplicity level omnipotence, then you can just like cash
okay.
it
Hold
on.
on. I need to. Yeah, so first, when you said that words have independent meaning, it's just the case. I'm gonna interpret a word based on how it's normally used, right? So when someone says cross verse, I'm gonna be interpreting it based on how it's normally used. Even in this case, you have some sort of idiosyncratic definition of it that you're using in this debate. That's independent of how it would be interpreted or how people would interpret it when they agree to a debate. It's like stupid as fuck to say they use it in other debates I haven't watched. It's like retarded as fuck. Second, when you say that your character has some avatars that are omnipotent, I think that's kind of contradictory because to be omnipotent means to be all powerful. If it's the case that something is more powerful, because you said that your character has a true form that these avatars are coming from, that'd be a contradiction to say that it's omnipotent. And yes, I get when you said that
Wait, how is
you
that
said
a
that
contradiction?
hold on,
Like you understand
hold on,
that in by
hold on,
turn.
hold on.
Let me respond to your
I need
first
to respond
point.
to something else you said. You said that I gave up on the other points. I didn't give up on the other points. I'm just trying to argue on your thing and how it would be mapping over to this conversation because I don't believe what you've given so far would even map over to the type of thing you want, even if I granted what you gave. Sorry, the argument that you gave so far.
So are you done?
Yeah, I'm done there.
Yeah, like that regarding the first point, like you're the one who was arguing that words that's the first response that I gave, which you didn't respond to. I don't think you understood that response. The argument that you were using was that words can have distinctive usages, and that was the first contention that you gave against me talking about divine simplicity. But now you're backpedaling against that, your own standards, which makes it seem like you're writing. But like, even besides that, like you didn't respond to that like argument because that argument was just the standard that I was applying from you, that I got from you, and I was applying to you specifically. Now, regarding omnipotence, like omnipotence with respect to divine simplicity just means that God can do everything that's consistent with his nature, not something that's contradictory to his nature. So I don't see like contradiction is going to be there for an avatar to have omnipotence and the character's true form to have omnipotence as well.
Yeah. So wait, did you just say that omnipotence means to be able to do everything that's possible?
Yeah, everything is logically possible. Why would I talk about my character
Okay.
having
Yeah.
the capacity to do like
Yeah. I
true
respond to all of those. So
contradictions?
firstly, no. Okay. So firstly, when you said I was backpedaling, I wasn't backpedaling. I understand that words are going to be interpreted based on how they're typically used. That isn't distinct from saying that words are going to be ascribed a definition dependent on the person saying it. All I was trying to get was an argument as to why this usage right here, when you said that it's a, sorry, when you said that divine simplicity means this thing, it was meant to say, why should I believe that it means this thing when written in this text? So I given a reason as to why I believe what was
This
said
is this
before
this
means
is
this thing.
ratting again, just to be clear,
It's not right. It's not writing.
because
Everything I said
because I
is
didn't say
complete. No, hold on, no. You're not cutting me off. You're not cutting me off. Everything that I've said
this
so far is
ratting.
compatible. No, hold on. I'm not writing. You can think that. I've literally everything I said is completely compatible with what I said previously. All I was asking for
I did
is
not
some
say
sort of
this.
motivation
You
to
had
believe
to.
that what. Can you stop? Can you stop? What the fuck? Can I get some
Sure.
moderation? So all I was trying to ask was a reason as to why I should believe some sort of motivation to believe that when divine simplicity is written in this text, or you haven't even given anything that wrote there, you're just trying to argue based on something else. But based on something have an independent meaning, I'm trying to ask why should I believe this is the case? I gave a reason as to why I believe this should be the case, even accounting for the fact that words have their own independent meaning of other people because of the individual making that word and the type of definition they're ascribing towards it. So yes, people can have
Well,
their own definitions. I'm trying to ask what sort of motivation should I believe it's being used in this text. My motivation is to believing it's used in text, or the other term that we talked about, not divine simplicity, is because it's how it's typically used. So all you could have argued there was divine simplicity is typically used in this case. You didn't argue that. All you argued is that, oh, someone originated in this way, which I argued why would that map on to how it would be, why I should be interpreting it in this way. You didn't argue for that at all. Yeah, and then you said omnipotence is going to be something that's everything that's logically possible. I want you to please explain how, firstly, the type of omnipotence that the characters that you gave have something that's that it can demonstrate anything that's logically possible. Please, like you to give that sort of argument.
What sort of argument? But like, before I respond to the second point, I was gonna
I
like
just gave
respond
it.
to the first point. The reason why I said your first point is writing is because I didn't give any text to begin with. So your argument just goes on like this 5 minute rant about how I gave a text Now that text in question I did not explain through that text how like it's gonna like be like the typical usage of the word, which is what I was arguing to begin with. But like the entire point is just that the reason why like you're writing in this case is because I didn't give like a text to begin with, but your response presupposes that I gave a text, which is like really inaccurate to the entire conversation that we've been having. But like I don't understand what you're asking for in the second point. So what are you asking for? It's not a counter argument because I don't have to give a counter argument. Like what? That's not what happened in the debate. So
Okay, for the
but what
first
are you
point, you
asking for in the
literally
second
brought up a
point?
text. Hold on. You
I did not
hold on.
bring
I'll
up a
explain everything.
text at all.
For, what the fuck? So for the first point, you can literally look in the recording. You brought up some sort of definition ascribed to this word based on someone how they use this word when they initially wrote it. That's sort of text I'm talking about. Not something that you instantiated by fucking sending a scan in chat. I'm not talking about type of text you're using. I'm just saying something that you referred to, something that was referential. So secondly, you asked what I mean. Oh, you tried to slip this in that you argued that's the typical meaning. You never argued that. If you want to argue that now, please. I'm asking you for the reason as to why it would be the typical wording, or sorry, typical interpretation of how this wording, or typical definition being ascribed towards this wording. And then, um, yeah, when I say what I'm asking by omnipotence, meaning to say that it's of every single logical possibility. I want that argument. Why is it every single logical possibility and not just the case that some set of possibilities?
Wait, which wording were you asking for? Like something about like wording? I didn't hear that part before you got to the last point. It was just like the second point, I think.
I think I said that because you tried to like slip in this argument that you said you argued before that this is the typical usage of the wording that you're arguing for that. I was asking why do you like firstly you didn't even argue that
Wait,
initially.
which wording? Like
Secondly,
which
what is the
word
argument for that?
specifically were you like
For,
talking
for the
about?
word divine simplicity, because you tried to say that there's some sort of definition that's going to be ascribed to it typically. You said that you argued for that, but you never did. And I'm saying, what is
I
the
mean
argument for that?
I mean that's literally what I was arguing for, but okay. I mean I gave you leaving the point, so I'm not gonna really return back to that. I'm not gonna waste my time.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
so what do you want me to do? Like to like send a scan about like how like the characters who
Yeah.
are
Just
divinely simple, how divine simplicity in general by itself just means that God can do anything that's logically possible, not something that's inconsistent with his nature.
sorry. Say that again. No, it was just to speak on the omnipotence thing because you said omnipotence is some is these avatars have some sort of omnipotence that allow them to do everything that's logically possible. I'm asking for that. Like send the scans and show that the type of omnipotence is going to be mapping over to all logical possibilities.
We, you want me to send a scan of my character having the capacity to do everything logically possible and therefore no contradictions? Is that just it?
No, because you said that the avatars of your character, you keep saying your character. I'm talking about the avatars of your character you talked about. That those things can do everything logically possible. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, the reason I was responding in that manner to like the argument that you were giving is because you were saying that's going to be a contradiction to my for my character to have like omnipotence, but I still don't
Yeah.
understand like what contradiction is there with my character having omnipotence. So
Yeah. No. When you say that, yeah,
because
that's
all I
why
was
I asked you
saying in
because
response to that was just that my character has the capacity to do anything that's logically possible, so therefore nothing contradictory. So what would actually be contradictory with an avatar having
yeah,
omnipotence?
yeah. I'll explain. So when you initially said omnipotence, that typically implies to be like the all-powerful figure that nothing can compare to. That's typically how that's used. But when you explain, like when you elaborated on
No,
that,
but
this
it
is why I
talks about
adjusted my claim
causal
to
power.
this. What?
What
Oh my
contradiction is
god.
there?
Yo, bro. This I'm literally telling you how I adjusted my claim to the thing you said. You said that it's not. It's only omnipotence in the sense that it's able to do everything logically possible. Okay. I've said okay. Send me that. The fuck. So there wouldn't be a
Yeah, that's
contradiction
just
if
how
it's
divine
true that.
simplicity works. That's how I derived that. But like, where's the
Oh my
contradiction
god.
still?
If it's just going to be derived based on divine simplicity, it's going to be only relative to the true form of your character because you tried to say that avatars have this sort of omnipotence.
I mean, they have the same causal power. So like, what's the contradiction if in having like the same causal power as like the true form? Like, where's the P and not P in
So,
that? This is just about causal
wait,
power.
if the avatars have the same sort of causal power as a true form, wait,
Yeah, like I'm asking,
if
what's the
it's wait,
contradiction in that?
hold
Like, where's
yeah,
the
no, 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 yeah,
inconsistency?
you didn't check the argument. So the reason as to why I brought that up is because you tried to say that. So if this kind of killed your character has is no intention behind this. If you're going to say that the avatars have these same sort of features as the main the main fucking form of your character, then those avatars are gonna have no intention. It's gonna just circle back to what I said before, that there's no win con for your character.
What? Okay, I already responded to
Oh,
that earlier when I said the accidents only apply to the avatar. So how is that actually a contradiction between the true form and the avatar? And still, how is that a contradiction for the avatar specifically to have the same causal power as the true form? This is just a simple question. I don't know like why you derail back to the conversation that we've already had about my character's like traits that are like asymmetrical to the true form with respect to the character's like physical form. Like that's literally the only part where like
Wait,
the accidents come in,
you
not the
do
part where like
hold
my
on, hold
character
on,
has
hold
no
on.
specified
No, hold on.
causal power
I just
that's
want to be clear on this real
identical
quick.
with
I
the
just want to be clear
character's
on this
true
real quick.
form.
Okay, I just want to be clear on this quick. You said you like you just changed what you said. By the way, you said that you're getting this sort of omnipotence towards the avatars as something that is derived from its divine simplicity. So, if that is the case, that these avatars have the same sort of divine simplicity as the main form, then the main form was sorry, it's going to have no intentionality identically to the main form. You're just like giving like conflicting arguments right now.
Repeat the last part again.
Okay, you're just giving conflicting arguments right now. Is there something before you needed me to say, or is that what you're
I mean,
talking
you've
about?
been saying like I've been contradicting myself and giving like conflicting arguments, but you still haven't justified that. So which part is actually conflicting?
Okay, so what you initially said is that they have asymmetrical features, and then you just said that you're only talking about its causal power. I said that the way you're getting this causal power to say it has omnipotence, able to do everything logically possible, is going to be derived off it having divine simplicity, right? And I said this divine simplicity is going to have no intentionality based on the scans that you sent, meaning these avatars are also going to have no intentionality, and they're also going to have the same features that are going to be
That
symmetrical to
that's
your
not how it
character.
works. There's a nuance
Why?
that you're
Why does
like
it not work like that?
overlooking here because like when I say my character, the only asymmetrical stuff that applies here is my character's accidents in question. But like the only way this argument can go through is if you argue that the accidents are gonna like halt my character's causal power with respect to his true form. So how are you gonna argue that specifically? Because if you're gonna argue that since it's derived from divine simplicity and my character has no divine simplicity, it's only an essential attribute and not the attribute that it has when the avatar gains form, then like how exactly are you gonna argue like this not applying insofar as it has no divine simplicity because the only accidents that my character has really
That's not what I'm
deal
saying.
with just the form, so not the causal power. So you're gonna apply the causal powers
That's
limits
not what I'm saying.
to my character with respect to the character form. That's not what you're saying, but that's what I'm saying.
That's not what
That's
I'm saying.
literally just it. Yeah, but that's what I'm
Okay, so
saying.
you're saying that doesn't respond to my argument about intentionality then? That's stupid as fuck then.
You suppose, yeah,
I just want to read
the
this again real quick.
intentionality argument is useless. That's the point. It's irrelevant.
Yeah, and
Like
you
whether or
believe that,
not
then
my
I give an
character
argument
has
as to
some
why that is the case. You
attribute
just
that
respond to that. Do you want me to repeat that again?
no, all you did was say it's derived from divine simplicity, but my character has no such
Mm-hmm.
divine simplicity because my character has accidents that this does not apply to the true form. But the only way for this argument to apply to the causal power is if you specifically justify how my character having these accidents would delimit my character's causal power with respect to the character's true form. That's the only way you can
That's not what I'm
actually argue
saying.
this. But just saying that my
Like,
character
like,
does
like
not have divine simplicity. No,
this
I'm
is
not
stupid.
saying you said that. I'm the one who's saying that now. I'm saying the only way this
Yeah,
condition
so you're
can
just saying
apply
you're
is you
just
can
not even responding
actually
to my argument then.
justify how my character's causal power is delimited by my character's accidents.
Yeah, no, it's just the case that you said that your character, sorry, the type of omnipotence you're granting towards its avatar is going to be a derivative of divine simplicity, correct?
Yes, the causal power of divine simplicity, but in this case, the causal power is not going to be delimited by the accidents unless you can actually justify that.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying okay, bro. I'm gonna trace back the
I
argument
know
one more
that's not
time,
what
and
you're
then if you're
saying.
just gonna respond like this, there's no point. I'm
You
saying
can
that
just leave it
what
here,
you're
so I think I'm
responding
good.
to isn't. No, I think there's other things also to respond to as well. Um, there's, I guess if you don't even leave that point there, then that's fine actually. I just want to like relook over these scans one more time because on the scan you sent as well. So, it's just an outcome or something which. Oh no, it's
The
far right to
we get a
sequence
new
seven
debate.
which occurs in. Sorry, how does any of this apply to what you said before? All this just says that it's an archive of all things and it has like no will and it just exists by itself. What the fuck? Or has no? It just exists. How does imply
Okay,
some?
and
This is literally like different to what you said previously. Because what you said previously is that it can't be described as some sort of archive. Where the fuck does it say that?
yeah, you're correct. I already justified like that, so how do you want me to return back to the point that I've already justified.
No,
And
you
if you feel that
no,
unjustified,
it's
we can
not.
just leave the recording here. So
No, it's not. No. It's not the case. You said that you justified it, but I'm saying that in the scan, you said that it says that it can't be applied to be an archive. The scan doesn't say that. Where the fuck does it say that?
what does it not say?
That it can't be like encapsulated as an archive. Well, it says that it's the archive of all things. So literally, what I'm getting from this is just that it's like it just caused everything. I didn't see anything that implies that it has some sort of divine simplicity
Yeah, we
or
can
that it
just
has
leave
no
the
past.
recording here. Then I'm done. I think I already justified
Okay,
this.
yeah. Secondly, I just wanna
In
like
fact, I already
elaborate
justified
my
it.
first. Okay, I don't believe you did, but yeah, I'll just go over like the first thing. Like I just want to elaborate my first argument again, just really quickly. Um, all the scans that said that no matter what is written towards my character, that he will always win. It's just the case that I'm not arguing dependent. Actually, do I even have to like? I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Yeah, we can just leave it here, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Yo, Hermes, bro, you fucking slam, bro. Good job, bro.
Bro, that shit was terrible.
Bottom 3 debate of all time, bro. That shit was
Hey,
ass.
Yeah,
hey,
we gotta watch that.
you probably did win that last
Yo,
point,
send
though.
me the react. I'll upload this shit.
Yo,